part of EFL Youth Development Week, we're heading back to where it all started for Cheick Diabate down here in the southwest. We're popping in to see Ruth and Paul Lawrence, who, when Cheick was just 16, took him in as part of the host family programme. So we've just arrived here at Ruth, so we're going to pop in, have a little chat before Cheick arrives and find out the goss before he gets embarrassed too much. Hope she's in.
This just feels like Homes Under the Hammer.
It does.
Hello, Joey.
Hello, you alright?
Hello.
That way.
No hiding.
You're right, darling. Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
you left the whole lot for us. Do you know, I found a text that he sent me just after he came down in his first year. And he says something in this text that he completely and utterly stuck to 100%. As a young 16-year-old, he came down to start the season, and the text was sent to me in March saying how much he appreciated feeling part of the family. That's him. And he would always remember us. And when he got into the first team, there'd be things for us.
Oh,
There you
yeah. Better let him in, I suppose, isn't you?
Let him in. Let him in, Craig.
You gonna let him in?
Do you want to film him?
The main man.
He does enjoy it.
There he is.
Hello, you alright?
How you doing?
We're good, we're good.
Good.
How are you?
Yeah, not bad. You?
Good training?
Yeah, I'm in the gym with Gaz in it, so
Oh yeah.
not really on the pitch right now.
Gotta look after that foot, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I just found a text that you sent me in March.
Yeah.
The first March you were here, so you came down in the summer, and you sent a text to me saying about how comfortable you were, how happy you were with the way we were looking after you. I don't know if you remember.
No, I do, yeah.
And you
I
said
think-
at the end
I
of it,
I don't remember word by word.
when I get into the first team, I'll never forget you guys, and there'll be things for you.
Did I say that?
And I'd
Ruth,
say,
how did this all happen then? Because obviously young 16-year-old footballers don't just turn up on a doorstep. So there's a process that you went through, and I know you'd had players before.
yeah. If I'm honest, I don't really remember how it sort of came about, but I saw the club were looking for host families. This was seven years ago now, and I contacted and said we'd be interested, and from there we had our first young player who was with us just for the 2 years, and then we had some others, and then Cheick came down for some trials, didn't you?
Yeah, I came down for. Well, the first show I came down, I didn't stay here. I stayed with Water, and then after I got signed, I think that's when I came down here.
Yeah.
When we played Plymouth, I think
Dan-
that was the first time.
Dan Kelly brought you the first time you came.
Yeah,
He picked you up for the
Yeah.
train and brought you here,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Yeah.
And you were here, I think, 2 nights?
2 nights, something like that. Yeah, and then after that, the second time was the Easter holidays. I
Yeah.
came down for
Yeah.
maybe a week,
Yeah, I think
came
it
down
probably
for-
was about a week.
and then I remember playing Oxford on the weekend, and I would say that's when I felt like home when I came down straight away. So obviously it's hard, coming into. They were strangers at the time, so it was very hard. But then living with each other, you get to know each other, you speak a lot, and then I met her family, she met my family, and then we got very close. Yeah.
Ruth, what was Cheick like those initial first few days, first few weeks that he moved in? Because I imagine nervousness on both sides. In a way.
Absolutely. I think you're right, there was nervousness on both sides. I think as Cheick has certainly said, he'd never lived with a white family before.
Yeah.
We'd never had a black guy come and live with us, and we knew there were some differences because the club did tell me before he came that he was a Muslim, so I knew that there would be some dietary things there, but they're the easy things really. It's the getting to know one another. He was a typical 16-year-old lad who thought he was really grown up when he arrived.
I really wasn't.
Now he
I know
realises
that now.
he
I know
wasn't.
that now.
But he was, and that's part of the process. Really, you've got to let him find his feet. It was very, very difficult for Cheick when he first came down, because this was so everything that London isn't. He couldn't believe we didn't get a bus every 2 minutes. You know, it's every 20 minutes
like
if you're
that,
lucky on a good day.
Missing the tube and all of that. But
Yeah. So all these things were difficult for him, but difficult for us as well, because we didn't really know very much about Cheick. You know, we were just told that this is who he is, this is his name, he's a Muslim, he doesn't eat pork, and that was about all I knew, and the rest really came over time for both of us. And I think it's fair to say it's been a journey for us both, hasn't it?
It's been one of the, I'll say, the best experience of my life, coming here, meeting them, living with them, and just being in Exeter, somewhere different to obviously where I grew up. But like Ruth said, at first we didn't know anything about each other, and it was just a case of, over time things, I got more comfortable around her, she got more comfortable around me, same with Paul as well. And then it kind of felt like I kind of like integrated into the family, and then vice versa, like they integrated into our family. So now I think, my whole family knows you, so like my aunties, they all know, like, so it's good, like we came together, and as Muslims we believe in destiny, and obviously it was my destiny to come here and live with Ruth and Paul, and they're the biggest part of my success in Exeter. So
Cheick, I've met your mum and I've met some of your family. Like I said, absolutely great family. Did Ruth and Paul, did they just naturally just feel like a second set of parents? Yeah,
so I used to tell them, like, Ruth's like my second mum and Paul's like my second dad. I always used to say stuff like that. And obviously naturally, like, Ruth was making my food, she was washing my clothes, doing my bed, and even doing my room up to, like, I think the second year where I started, doing my own room. Cause
was he messy?
Yeah. Not hot and dusting, shall we say?
I think my first year I was quite messy, and then as I got older, you just change a bit, and then you like when things are neater, stuff like that. And it's just, we just gelled, like, it feels like we gelled very quickly.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you speak about how we integrated with your family, but you did the same with mine.
Yeah, exactly.
My siblings don't live here in Exeter, so we meet up from time to time at other parts of Devon. Cheick, I asked him if he'd like to come. Oh yes please, and he came, and certainly my brother was absolutely thrilled to meet you, and you had a really good conversation because they've got some similar interests. Cheick's very interested in history. My brother had just got my parents' medals from the war and actually framed them up with some photos and was showing Cheick and giving him a bit of history on that, so they were fine. You two were getting on very well, weren't you?
So obviously at first Ruth didn't know what I was interested in, she didn't know what type of person I was, but as we spoke and she started to see that in fact me and her, and me and like our family and her family are very similar. There's a lot of similarities, even though we're, we follow different religions, we're, different backgrounds, ethnicities, we're very similar in terms of how we are as a family. And Ruth's family has a lot of history in terms of like her dad and her granddad, which I was very interested in, and it got to a point where they was comfortable enough to show me pictures and like marriage certificates from the past, and
talked about that.
And I think it was your dad's like medals.
That's right.
His medals, and it was so obviously I like my history, so it was very like fascinating for me to see stuff like that.
Obviously Ruth cooked, and she cooked meals for you. Did you ever make any African food for Ruth?
Me, I can't cook. So
Well, come on, you've got your own place now, so I hope you can cook something.
I can cook the basics, you know.
What do
But
you cook,
Ruth,
Chef?
Ruth,
What I taught him.
was it in my third year, my second year pro? Yeah, second year pro. That's
Towards the end of that, up
Towards the
until
end.
then, you were very resistant to it.
so up until my second year pro, I was like, I'm not cooking. It's not for me. I don't want to do it. I just want my food there so I can eat it and just go back upstairs or something. But once I started to get older, I started to know cooking's something that you need to know, you know, because if you move somewhere or if you live by yourself, you want to be able to cook. If you can't cook, God knows what can happen to you. But she taught me how to cook her savoury rice, because I love her savoury rice, and the stir fry noodles. And then I realised that cooking's actually easy. It's just knowing what to do and when to do it.
That's right.
Yeah, like, you know, but even the food side of stuff, like Ruth was used to eating a different type of food to I was, and obviously we're West African, so we eat completely different foods. But I got used to her cooking, and she started to. If you compare Ruth's cooking from when I first came to like now, it's completely different. And then that all goes back to understanding each other, and you know, we spoke, we communicated well, and she knew what I liked, and yeah.
Continue on the theme of Cheick as a person. If you compare him now to when he turned up on your doorstep at 16, what differences? What are the sort of starkest differences?
He turned up a child and he left me a young man, and there was a marked difference. He was more receptive to learning some life skills and recognised that actually, you're right, I do need some life skills. When he first came, it was just going to football, you know, go to training, meet up with your friends afterwards, bring them back here. We often used to have a house full of the academy lads here, didn't we?
Yeah,
In the hot tub or something.
Oh, they used to sleep here in this room, didn't you?
Yeah.
But what I will say for him, always, he's always been respectful. He would never ever have the boys back here without asking, and he would always ask, can they stay over? Is that okay? And the answer was always yes, because he respected us and asked and didn't just take that for granted. And I think that's a real important thing to for anybody who's watching, perhaps is thinking about having a youngster. Spend the time to get to know one another, and just be honest. And say everybody has house rules to some extent, and just put it out there and tell them, and then they know, don't they? And then they either stick to the rules or they don't. This one was pretty good at sticking to the rules, weren't you? Yeah.
For you, Cheick, what have you noticed in yourself over
like Ruth said, when I first came, I was a boy, to be honest. But when you're 16 and you think you know everything, and you think, you know, you're a big man, and like, I feel like when you're from London, you just got this cockiness for some reason.
You're so cocky.
I was very cocky. Don't ask me why, because I really don't know why, but it's just, and then when you come in, you kind of like learn that in fact you're not really a man, and you're far from it, and there's a lot of things you got to learn. So especially, I think with my character, Ruth has seen huge changes in me, so from when I first came to now. And for example, what I do in my spare time as well, she's seen massive changes as well. And how serious I've become with my religion. She's seen me come in as someone who doesn't practice at all to someone who's fully practicing. So like, it got to a point where, starting from my first year pro, I think I was going to the mosque like every evening or every other evening. In a week I'll go to the mosque minimum 3 times a week. And so, stuff like that, going to sleep early and talking differently and talking in a certain way. So Ruth has experienced a bit of my life that's where I've changed the most out of all the years in my life. I think this bit from when I was 16 to now is the bit where I've changed like incredibly, like the most. And her and Paul have experienced the whole thing, like literally a front seat to it. So,
were you practicing Ramadan during your time here?
Not in my first year, not in my second year, and I started in my third year. So when I got my pro, that's when I started fully like practicing. I don't know what changed in me. Obviously, certain stuff happened at home, and then for some reason that just hit me and it made me change a lot. So that's when I started practicing fully and being very strict on what I was eating.
Yeah.
That must have impacted, because I know it's like early mornings, getting up, and that must have impacted. Impact was the wrong word, but in some way. Yeah,
I mean, I think it was very different for us, without a doubt. It was something that we'd never experienced. Before Ramadan started, I think fair to say Cheick and I spoke about it, didn't we? And how would be the best way to manage it from my perspective. And I think we got through it as best we could, really. But he was, to be fair, he used to get up very early, didn't you?
Yeah.
But always very quiet. He would come down here for a few morning prayers, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because he felt he would disturb us upstairs. But the further into Ramadan he got, the more you could see it. I think it's fair to say impacting on you, really.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in a negative way. I mean, spiritually it was very, very, very good for you. But physically, he wasn't eating as much, you weren't sleeping as much, were you? Obviously fluid intake is reduced. In terms of his meal, what I used to do was sort of put it up for you, and then he would just warm it and have it whenever the time was right. But I would buy one or two different sort of things in for him to be able to snack on, like we used to get melon and things because it's more watery than that perhaps you would normally have. And so there were sort of different things we did to accommodate Ramadan. But I have to say, for anybody that's thinking about it, it's not a big deal. It's only a big deal if you make it a big deal.
Yeah, I agree with that. Ramadan, the first one-day experience, I knew it was like kind of like not a shock, but I knew they were never exposed to being or living with a Muslim. And me and Ruth, there was many nights where we would sit down for 1 hour, 2 hours, like literally talking about everything. And Ruth quickly started to understand our religion, from the basics to the more complicated things. And like she said, morning prayers, I would come downstairs because I didn't want to disturb them. And even the evening prayers, Paul would go to bed at a specific time, like every night.
Paul, not me.
And then that would be a time where I would be praying. So when I hear Paul walking up the stairs at a certain time, I knew he was going to bed. And then he would like turn on the TV, and then when I was praying, I'd say to myself, Paul's going to bed now, you need to lower your voice a bit, kind of. And then Ruth would always go to bed like an hour or 45 minutes after Paul. But it's just if you adapt to each other and you actually put the effort in and you try, it will be good for both sets of people, to be honest. I think it's if you're stubborn and you're not willing to learn and you're not willing to adapt, that's when it'll be difficult.
Let's talk football.
Oh dear.
Ruth, you must be so proud.
Oh, I couldn't be prouder of this lad. And I've said to him at home, in the privacy of our own home, always, haven't I, Cheick, from day one, all I ask of you is when you run out at SJP, never mind everybody else, you look at me and you give me away. Never mind the rest of them, me. I wash your boxes every day. Did I say that to you always? Yeah. And I have to say, bless him, he does. He knows exactly where we stand in the bank, don't you? Yeah. And I see him looking.
Even when his mum's here, he's got to look at you first.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if Mum's here, she'd agree. Because it's interesting, because we, as you probably know, we're in different parts of the ground. So Mum sees you come out.
Yeah, she sees me come out, and then Ruth and Paul are always in the same spot, so I know where they are. Give them a wave.
Yeah.
And but the football side of things it's been a roller coaster. Isn't
Oh,
it?
it has, love. Yeah.
It's been literally up and down, up and down, up and down, and many things. Just Ruth has helped me with so much in terms of the mental side of things. Obviously, like giving me food, and that helps me perform on the pitch. But especially like the mental side of things, Ruth's helped me a lot. So there's a lot of times where I've been feeling so down or sad, and Ruth would literally, every time that happened, or every time I needed someone to speak to, Ruth would be there, ready to speak, ready to give me advice, and a lot of times she was like honest and straightforward. Like even if I was in the wrong, she would tell me, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. So it wasn't always like, I didn't always hear what I wanted to hear, but I always heard what I needed to hear. Yeah, she always gave me what I needed to hear. And especially in my first year pro, that's when I struggled the most out of all the years I've been here. Obviously lockdown happened, and I was going on loan. It wasn't working out. I wasn't playing well at all, and it felt like I was declining. And Ruth was literally there every single time I needed her, and that was for the whole season.
Yeah, it's a tough year, wasn't it?
It was a very tough year for me.
Yeah.
And that must weigh down on them as well, because when I come home and I'm down and I don't want to speak, and I go straight to my room and lock my door, obviously for them they're probably thinking, is he happy here? Are we doing the right things? So looking back at it now, if I could go back, I'll do things differently, because it makes me feel bad knowing that maybe they thought they would, because it had nothing to do with them. It's just that I had a tough season. They done everything they could, and yeah, maybe like I said, if I could go back, I'll change the way I dealt with it. So coming and speaking to them all the time, and not just coming in and going straight to my room. And some days it was like, hello, how you? And then you'll be like, how was your day? I'll be like, yeah, it's all right. And then you'll be like, when do you want dinner? I'll be like, 6 o'clock please. And then that'll be it.
That's very true.
That'll be it for most evenings.
What you see now for most of the time is how Cheick has been here. I think it's fair to say you feel comfortable at home, don't you?
Of course, yeah.
But during that year, there were some days when I was lucky if I got 3 words out of him. Yeah. Which is worrying, when you've got someone that you care for is clearly struggling, and you can't make it right for them. And we just stuck at it, didn't we, mate?
Yeah, really? The year went by, and then my second year I went out on loan and I played well, and then I broke in, and then
then January happened.
Yeah,
then January happened.
And then it went like that, literally. And then I ended up moving out, and then it's all gone like a flash, I think.
Yeah. Oh, it
very,
has.
very, very quick.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just that moment from January when you were given the opportunity in the first team. Suddenly the player who'd been coming home on a Saturday night having played for Truro, now he's coming home on a Saturday night having just scored at Walsall in League Two. I mean,
oh dear, that was a night.
Should we go over that? I think that's a good story there, isn't it?
Yeah, that night was it was very long.
It was a very long afternoon for us, because Paul and I listened to the game on the radio.
On the radio. They was in the hot tub,
We were in the hot tub, yeah. And of course when he scored, as you can imagine, we both leapt up, water wet everywhere, and we were like a couple of lunatics out there on our own in the garden in January. Yes, my boy's done it, And then home he came, and
I was just waiting to come home the whole time. I was like, I can't wait to see them, and I came in. I remember big smile on my face, of course, and you guys were sitting here, and we was waiting for the Quest program, and we were just sitting, waiting, itching for it to come on, and then it came on, and then we watched it together, and they went bed, and then I was just sitting here for hours just
I know.
replaying the video and watching videos that people sent me and answering my messages, and I think
came off for getting booked.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
But he did. I think your words to me was, "I don't care,"
Okay, less.
which okay, I can go with that.
Yeah, that was a good time. It was a very good time.
I laid in bed that night. Well, it was about 3:30 in the morning. He was here. I know exactly where he was sat here.
Because you can hear things easily in the house.
Yeah. Our bedroom is above, and I
Yeah.
can hear. He's got on his phone a loop. He's one of our own. He's one of our own. He was going on and on. Then he'd stop it.
I think I
then
watched
go
it like
quietly,
a
play
million
it again.
times. Yeah, I watched it a lot.
You did, darling.
And I was waiting for the highlights to come out as well.
All right.
They come out like midnight normally, I think. So.
But it was we felt very privileged to be part of that and to see that from that scared 16-year-old lad who turned up on the doorstep with his mum and dad, didn't you?
Yeah.
To come when you moved down, all
when
your
it was a
suitcases.
permanent. Yeah.
And to get to that point where he'd scored his first goal was amazing for us. And as you said, we are very proud of him.
And then obviously a couple of weeks later, I think it was late morning, and that one was at SJP, and I imagine that one just felt so much more because not 90th minute winner and the SJP, your first goal there. It must have been.
Paul was there. Paul missed it.
Paul had COVID, so he couldn't come.
So out of all my goals, the third goal was the most emotional for all of us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So obviously the first goal, that was probably the second most emotional, and the third goal, because Paul wasn't there, it wasn't really the same. Obviously I was still happy to score, but then when I scored this season against MK Dons, that's the first time I scored in front of the big bank, and I celebrated on the side that they stand as well. So, and Paul was there, Ruth was there, and I think that's when it hit me, her and Paul. And
I think it's fair to say it probably hit us all because the whole of your family was there.
My wife was there, my brother-in-law was there, my brother, my sister, my mum and my sister-in-law, and my two friends from secondary, and MK Dons, their right back Henry Lawrence used to go to my school, and we was in the same year. So it felt like a lot of people that have been part of my life before were watching, so it was the perfect game to score the winner, and with most of my close people there, so that's why it felt different, I guess.
Yeah, I think that one did feel different.
Yeah,
definitely.
Obviously you've experienced so much being in this environment. I think it says a lot. I mean, if you just look up on the wall, you've got pictures from your first goal. So you've got the Player of the Month award, and then I think we're probably surprised that you've not kept this one. It's the League 2 runners-up medal. Why did you choose to leave that with Paul and Ruth?
So
because that's an important thing.
When the season ended, so I was gonna get married in the off season, which I did. So I knew that maybe it's time for me to move out and get my own place. On top of that, I was gonna sign a new contract as well. So I was like, this is like the right time to leave Ruth and Paul and start my independent life. And when I came back for pre-season, I came like 10 days early to sort everything out, and I came to do my things, and obviously there was the picture there was the medal I had and that picture, and I was just telling myself, I remember being in the room and I was like, so you're about to leave, you're not gonna be living here anymore, and it's like things were replaying in my head. I was like, the way you came when you were 16 and you didn't know anything really, and you just came out of secondary school, and then you've done all of this for yourself and you've achieved a lot in a short space of time. And then I was like, it's not, obviously I'm the one who put the work in, but then my home life, so Ruth and Paul were always there, and like I said before in this interview, they were the biggest part of my success out of anyone. Is Ruth and Paul, who I think are the reason that I've been so successful, or I've been successful here. So I was like, I need to give them the medal first of all, let them keep those pictures up there and that picture, and the only thing I took with me was my 39 shirt, the shirt I made, I used on my debut, and then I was like, the rest I'm leaving to them to keep. And because as much as I deserve that medal, they deserve it as well. You know, they've been following the club for I don't know how many years, but I think it's a lot.
Too many.
Waiting for us to get back in League One, and they've done their part by, you know, looking after one of the first team players, which is me, and giving me everything I need to go out and perform every time I'm on the pitch. So yeah, I'm doing it on the pitch, but off the pitch it was them as well. So I was like, you guys deserve the medal more than I do anyways, so I gave it to them. Yeah.
How does it feel hearing that again? I'm sure he's told you before, but to hear that today...
It's very emotional, and I'd be a liar if I said anything different. I said to him when he gave us the medal, we'd happily be custodians for him, because I hope he does, but he may never ever win another promotion medal again. You know, that day you're on the bus with oh God, his name's gone now.
Who?
Newport. He came to us from Newport. What's he called?
Oh, Oz.
No.
Who?
Podge.
Thank you.
Podge.
Which is a complete blank. And he said he did it. It was his first ever promotion.
Yeah.
And there's him, 19 years old, giving us the medal. And I'm saying to him, but you may never ever get another one. And if ever he wanted it back, we willingly give it to him. But you're very adamant.
I was very adamant that this is your medal, not mine. I received it, but in fact it's for you guys, and I don't think I'll ever come back and say I want the medal back. They can keep it and, you know, give it to the rest of their family when they pass and stuff like that. You know, it's for their family, not for me. And that was just me showing, like, it's basically me saying thank you. That's my way of saying thank you very much for everything you've done for me and helping me become the person I am today. And yeah.
And the person he is today makes us very proud to feel that we've had a part to play in that journey, really. You know, and it does. And for anybody who's thinking of perhaps being a host family, you know, do it. But do it because you want to do it. And do it because you want to look after these young men or young lads and take them into your family. You will gain something from it, regardless of whether they go on to be a first team player or not. I think relationships, I'm still in contact with some of the other lads that I've had, you know, may only be once in a blue moon, they drop me a text, but they do, and that's nice. And I'd like to think perhaps somebody can watch this and want to have a bit of it, because it's good. As I said to him, seeing him come down High Street on the bus was all the thanks we needed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it's good now because I'm not even too far from you guys. I'm literally 5 minutes away.
No, it's just like you've only half moved out. You're a bit like my own two children.
Yeah. And obviously when I come back from training, I come from the motorway and then the A road and then come out like down there. And then there's sometimes after training I'm like, oh, it's quite early, let me go see Ruth and Paul quick and have a nice tea and talk and catch up.
Yep.
And then I've been invited for dinner a couple times as well. And when I need things, I come to Ruth and Paul straight away. You know, when I needed to, do my car, the tyres, I came here.
Yeah.
And many things I need help with. When I moved out, obviously it was a new experience and stuff like that. Ruth and Paul were the first people I was thinking, yeah, they know what to do. I'm gonna go to them type of thing. So even now we're still seeing each other a bit and talking a lot. So
yeah.
But
I wouldn't have it any other way. I've said to him, as long as he's here in Exeter, he may not live with us, but he's got a home here. In fact, you've still got the door. Well, you haven't. You gave the door key to your mother.
My mum, yeah.
So now when he comes, I have to go and answer the doorbell because he's given the key to his mother.
Yes. When my family come down, they stay here.
They do.
My brother, my sister, my mum, they sleep in, the spare room, and I think my brother sleeps in the sitting room. So that just shows you how close we've become. Yeah.
We also, I think, to end it, we say at Exeter, he's one of our own. But do you think Cheick is one of your own?
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
100%. 100%. This week, he'll tell you, randomly sometimes I'll send you a text and I'll say, "You've made me proud again," don't I?
Yeah,
and he'll sometimes say, "What did I do?" There was a moment this week that you won't even have registered. He came over on Wednesday evening, and my youngest son has just got married recently, and the two of them were in the kitchen, one either side of the island, having this conversation about being newlyweds and their wedding rings, and when they thought already they might have lost them. And it was just like watching the two brothers talking, they were smiling at each other and laughing. And it's those moments when you really think, he's my boy.
That's when you know. Yeah.
He's my boy.
Because I've told Stephen and Martin that they're like brothers as well. So
yeah.
Stephen always messages me after that I score a goal or after I play well, and Martin lived here for a bit in my first year pro.
Yeah, when the lockdown he came.
We spoke a lot as well, and I was able to connect with him. Seeing them every morning, it was always me and Martin in the kitchen. So
keep that away.
Yeah, it's just like I said. It's just now it's family, and they're not strangers anymore.
Mm.